Hi, I can see our guest here. Uh, we'll be talking about the timelessness and versatility of stone with Sonali Bhagwati today, and she's here. And except that I can't see her yet, so kindly be patient and just allow her to log in again. If there are any questions that you may have, please drop them in the chat box, and we'll be addressing them soon. Thank you all for joining us on this series of Let's Talk Design. I think everybody can log in and see me. I'm not sure why we're having this issue today. I think you all can, if somebody can let me know whether you can hear me and see me, that will be great. Can you all see me and hear me? Okay, great. So, thank you. Hi, Sonali. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay, I can also hear you and I can see you. So I really have no idea why there was an issue, but thank you. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, can you be a little louder, please?
Yeah, sure. My pleasure.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So, Sonali, I'll just give everybody a quick introduction, although you don't need one. I'm going to quickly introduce you and then we'll straight away jump on to the questions. So Sonali Bhagwati is the co-founder of Spazio Design, an internationally recognized design firm. She's also the president of DPA after the merger of DPA and Spazio. She has received numerous awards, including the 11th Triple ID MK Awards in 2006, Architect of the Year Awards in 2008 by Z Business, Architect of the Year Award in 2012 by India Home Awards, Design Excellence Awards in 2015, and the Leadership Award in 2015 by CE Worldwide. Sonali is a very respectable name in the community, and it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you today, Sonali.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank
So,
you
so
for this.
yeah. So, Sonali, today's theme is the versatility and timelessness of stone. Stone is a very versatile material and it easily blends in with other materials as well while complementing them. When you're designing luxury spaces, what are the materials that you complement stone with?
Stone is not really limited to luxury spaces or anything specific. The beauty of stone is that it can adapt itself to all sorts of genre, conditions, project types, usage variety. So it is really quite limitless in a certain way. Uh, if you're talking about luxury, I mean, there is no definite thing about luxury. Oh, sorry, I think it's Yamini calling. Yes, Yamini, we are online. Okay,
I think you just need to bring it a bit closer to you, maybe.
yeah, no problem. Just give me a sec.
So,
Okay, is that better?
yeah, much better, much better. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. So as I said, stone is not, and there is no particular type of stone that is right for a particular type of project. I mean, the most luxurious of projects have been very wabi-sabi and, very purist-like. And they've used really stone in its most natural form, very raw sometimes, and it has really produced fantastic effects. So stone is, there is no definition whether it is A type of stone which is good for luxury or a B type of stone. It is really the way you have perceived a space and what really works in making it possible. If your vision for a space, sort of very earthy, very purist, then you take a certain approach, you use a certain kind of stone. In a situation like that, you certainly don't use a Satvario, or you certainly don't use a glossy, shiny kind of marble. So your approach to stone selection is really dependent not only on the project type, but really your design vision for the same.
Sure, sure. That makes a lot of sense. So, could you share some examples of where you have used stone in sort of, in combination with another material, and something new sort of, happened?
We use stone like everyone else in various ways and categories and genre. I think the usage of stone, according to me, is so varied, and there are so many ways that you can use it with different materials. I mean, if you take like a stone which is with a cool palette, it juxtaposes very well with warm colors or warm veneers. I think what is important in each situation is to achieve the right balance. Now, we talk about balance, it is a balance in colors, it could be a balance in textures, it could be balance of materials, which is soft versus hard.
Right.
Stone is essentially, of course, a hard material. So, how does a hard material balance and complement the next material in a particular space? I mean, I would say even a very simple veneer can work very well sometimes to offset the beauty of a stone. You could look at either a very polished stone sometimes and juxtapose it with, I would say, like a rough paint, or you could juxtapose it with, fabrics. It's like really everything, according to me, is about juxtaposing the right things to achieve a balance in any space. I'll give you an example. Suppose you're doing timber floors anywhere in any space. You go into timber walls. I mean, it's just sort of too much. It comes on to you.
Right.
It needs a balance. Now,
Yes.
timber floor could be juxtaposed very beautifully with a kind of a treated roughened stone or a split face stone, which is in a slightly neutral palette or even a slightly cooler palette.
Sure.
And that gives it a break.
Yeah.
So, it is not to say that the rough stone is less luxury or the polished stone is more luxury. No, it is what it will create as a part of the end product. That's what creates the luxury, not the particular material itself. You can use the most expensive of stones and really not do much with it, if you don't use it correctly. I mean, it would speak of money, but it wouldn't speak of the effect. It wouldn't speak of the end product.
Yeah.
So, idea is not to talk of money when you talk of luxury. Idea is to talk of a design the right effect that it would create. You could pick up, like, let's say, a stone which is roughened. It may have pieces of mica showing within. You put the right lighting with it. You may use a very expensive grade of lighting to bring out the right color render of that stone. Then juxtapose it with either a metal or even like a cotton steel or something. I'm just saying that the kind of combinations like this, with the right lighting, can be magical.
Yeah, of course.
And the same stone by itself may mean nothing. So this is what every project becomes like a thought process of innovation and design. And I would say a great opportunity to experiment with all these beautiful materials.
Right. So, Sonali, that's actually a wonderful note to sort of, take on to the next question. You speak about innovation, right? How could you share a little more detail about how you have, used stone and innovated with it in a range of projects? You could tell us a little bit about maybe specific stones that you used, or specific objects or projects where stone was used beyond its traditional sort of image.
Stone can be used in so many ways. It's your standard flooring, your walls. You could have stone carvings, jalis, all sorts of things. According to me, one of the nicest examples of stone utilization in modern history is the Indo-Saracenic style. And I may not ever do anything in that kind of a genre, because I think we have passed that era and age. But it doesn't stop you from admiring what was created and the way stone was used in a situation like that. The way the beautiful elements of the Indo-Islamic architecture were fused with the neoclassical, and it sort of created a whole design language, a whole style was created based on that. To me, that was very innovative for that time. And so when I talk of stone being innovative or stone being used in a different manner, this is the kind of approach that I would talk about. We could look at stone where we are looking at like rough slabs, like really rough slabs of stone, trying to create a boulder effect, which is indoors, and that you juxtapose with, fluted glass, you juxtapose with metals, you juxtapose with a frangipani tree made in stainless steel, a very, very sculptural element. So that is the kind of effect, and that is the kind of way what excites me using a stone,
Sure.
So this sort of very pure wabi-sabi kind of effect is sometimes very, very exciting. Of course, there is a huge resurgence of a lot of traditional arts and crafts, but used in a more contemporary way. Things like your inlays, your patterns, which I would say had completely gone away for a long, long time, are seeing a comeback. And they're seeing a comeback in a very fusion kind of a way, which is also very nice, And one is beginning to use colors and patterns of stone, types of stone, which otherwise you would never normally land up using, So that has been a great which is nice to have a comeback. Another very nice way to use stone, according to me, and that's the way I would love to go forward, is that, I have always been a very, very big fan of our Indian arts and crafts. And I would say Indian stonework has always been something that has had its own beauty, its own sort of aura. And if one could take the craft, not the designs, but the craft of the Indian stone workers and use it to create more contemporary, more, I would say, current design creations. May it be furniture, may it be architectural, may it be landscape related, it could be anything. That would be a great way forward for most projects, you know. Trying to bring in, I would say, even if you take like a bench, or if you take like lights, or you could take any element. And if you sort of look at using the traditional craft and try and create a product which is, you know, which has infused technology.
Yeah.
So it is very current. It works the way you want it to. It gives you the luxury that you want. But at the same time, it talks of a past which is so strong and so powerful that it deserves its place in the future. And I think my take would be that the plastics and the aluminums are nice for what they are, no doubt about it. But if we could bring back the stone and its craft and infuse it with technology into contemporary day products, I think it would be a great fillip for our craftsmen.
That's really nice to hear, and yes, you're very right. I think Indian craft also needs that sort of recognition. So you know, like we've discussed, and you said that stone has a wide range of applications, right? What are the factors that one must consider when you're trying to sort of work with stone in its range of application?
See, when we look at stone, there are a couple of things that we look at. One is what is the grade of stone you want to use? Where do you want to use it? What is the effect you want to create? I mean, there is a variety of stones. We have the slates, which are so beautiful. We have limestone, which has full of character, you know. We have sandstones. We have quartzite. We have the basalt stones. We have the marble. We have the granites. So we have such a huge variety of stones, fortunately available to us. And first of all, what is important is to decide what suits you, what suits the application, the design vision, and the genre of the product. Are we looking at a space which is going to be high usage? Are we looking at a space which requires, intricate, let's say, working on it? So it depends what exactly are you looking for. And then it is important to first do the stone selection. It is not to say that marble is the best and, you know, you just sort of close your eyes and go for marble and the rest of it. I think the first thing is to select the right stone. I mean, in our office, we have a signature floor, which is a slate stone, which is laid in a resin like a terrazzo. So we have these slate rectangles, which we lay in situ, and we pour a kind of a resin terrazzo on it, and then it's sort of, you know, you cut it and you polish it. And I just love that floor, you know, it's a very different, really one doesn't see it ever. And the thing is that no client would accept it. So we said, let's do it for ourselves because at least we will have the pleasure of looking at it and using it, you know. So I feel that even something like that is, according to me, super luxury because it requires so much art and effort to actually do that floor, you know. So it has a process, it is labor intensive, though it's using a slate which is 20 rupees a square foot, you know. So there is no cost to the material, it's only the cost of doing it.
Craftsmanship.
So craftsmanship, exactly. So that would not have looked good in a marble. It would not have looked good in anything else because the slate gives it that character. It gives it that sort of, you know, the silvery, gray, black kind of look, the effect which other stones would not give. So in this case, slate was the right material. Similarly, if we are looking at something else, you're trying to create like I mean, one of these beautiful fountains that you find at Uday Vilas or something, where you require that marble because that's the look that it wants, you know. Or if you are looking at a certain landscape material or sandstone. So my idea is to tell you that first, it is extremely important to select what is the stone you require, what is the purpose it's going to serve, what is the texture and the color that we want. And that's what you start with. And then you sort of go on to figuring out what are the best uses of that particular material. We use a lot of stone in furniture and not just as a tabletop or something. One is looking at using inlays, one is looking at using different details with stone, because there are certain things only a stone can do. You know, the kind of smoothness that we can achieve, the kind of molding that you can achieve. Very few other materials besides timber can achieve that for you. So stone has that particular character. So depending on the design elements that one is looking for, that stone selection has to be sort of modulated and then looked at creating and how it fits into the end product with what other materials that it can get juxtaposed with. If you're doing, let's say, a tabletop with an X kind of an inlay, does maybe a metal, maybe a sort of a beaten metal goes well with it because the stone may be polished. A beaten metal may juxtapose very well with it. So, you know, that is the kind of detail that one starts getting into. So it may be a simple inlay, but the end product that it has got created gives it a unique character, because it's a customization of a product or a space by way of using these materials, and modulating these materials will create the kind of uniqueness that one is looking for.
Yeah, that's very, very good to hear, Sonali. Every architect has their own style and, you know, their own sort of approach to design. What are personally the qualities that you look for when you're picking up any stone?
You know, I would look for, first of all, a stone which should not give me problems later. I mean, needless to say.
Yeah.
So, if one is looking at a stone which is going to be for a floor, then definitely it needs to have the ability for a certain kind of wear and tear. Your absorption should be as minimum as possible. If it's a marble, it should be a high calcite grade marble. So these are the basic things I would look for. And then, of course, personally, I like very clean spaces. I like clean approach to a space. So I like to use stones which are more monochromatic looking.
Right.
Where the spaces have a gentleness about it. I don't like a very sort of, that sort of violates you, that kind of a space. So there are a lot of stones which have a lot of high, patterning and character. So those are the kind of stones that you have to restrict. They are very pretty, but one needs to restrict them to spaces of accent and controlled usage. So while they are very good as a showpiece, but it needs to be seen in a controlled manner, and the majority of the space, personally, I like it to be very clean, very neutral, simple, monochromatic, because I feel at the end of the day, it's a background in a home. It is your home, it's you, your stuff, your collections, your art, your rugs, your furniture, which is going to speak for itself. And the stone needs to provide a background, which is going to be there to hold it. If you need a stone in a lobby, which is going to be visible, yes, you can take something with a little bit more character, strong colors, strong patterns. But when it comes to majority of the spaces, you need to be able to live with it over a period of 10, 15 years. A home has to be for at least 15 years, before you would look at remodeling or changing. And the only way it becomes timeless is when it is gentle and calm. And you let your furniture, your soft furnishings, and your other things do the talking. Let the stone be the gentle, strong background that will hold everything together.
Fabulous. So if I may ask you, and again, I'm on the last question now. If you had to pick one stone that would resonate with your personality, what would that stone be?
I love a boulder look. I'm really very, very fond of this very sort of pure wabi-sabi look, And whether it is a slab of granite, which is, just a rough cut stone. I think even a kota has its own beauty, But I think any stone which has this rough, natural look is what I would normally gravitate towards, because I think that is what it can speak. It speaks for itself. Again, as I said, the use is limited. It has to be very, very elemental in terms of whether it's a piece of furniture or a wall or anything. But it's something that your eye goes to as you get into a space. So the gentle part will be at the background, but this very rough, very raw kind of a stone is what I would love to see in, wherever it's possible.
That's good to know. So thank you, Sonali. I think there's a question here from the audience. Do you think that granite is the future?
I don't think it's either granite I cannot say any stone is the future. Granites can be beautiful. They can be treated beautifully. I think some of the granites, when you process them, you start doing hydro wash and, start doing different textures, they can yield beautiful results. So granite, personally, by itself, I don't like it much. But a treated granite can be absolutely stunning. Similarly, I think a treated limestone or, even a travertine or, a quartzite. Some of these stones can be just so beautiful. So it's not just granite. Personally, even I think slate is beautiful. I love my office floor. I think it's the best floor.
We would love to see it. I'm sure our audience.
Anytime.
Yes. Thank you so much, Sonali. This was really, really insightful. As you know, the series is called Let's Talk Design. So if you had to say one thing about stone as a tip to our audience, what would that be?
Stone is timeless and it's versatile. And I think it is really important for all of us designers and architects to explore it. Don't just take it at its face value. Don't take it the way it has been used over the years. Explore for what it can do and what it can give you. And, use your design and your imagination to make it go beyond what it has been doing so far. And that's what the excitement would be all about.
Beautiful. Sonali, this year A-Class is celebrating 50 years of being in the industry, and we're really glad that you've been able to be a part of that journey. Thank you so much for being a part of this series. And as a gesture of gratitude, we'll be planting a tree on your behalf, and you'll be getting a certificate for the same. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, A-Class. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.